Hello there, friends. Welcome to today's devotional. Psalm 90 is what we have before us today. Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You turn us back to dust and say, "Turn back, you mortals." For 1,000 years in your sight are like yesterday when it is past, or like a watch in the night. You sweep them away. They are like a dream, like a grass that is renewed in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and is renewed. In the evening it fades and withers. We are consumed by your anger. By your wrath we are overwhelmed. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your countenance. For all our days pass away under your wrath. Our years come to an end like a sigh. The days of our lives are 70 years, or perhaps 80 if we are strong. Even then, their span is only toil and trouble. They are soon gone, and we fly away. Who considers the power of your anger? Your wrath is as great as the fear that is due you. So teach us to count our days, that we may gain a wise heart. Turn, O Lord, how long? Have compassion on your servants. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, so that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad as many days as you have afflicted us, and as many years as we have seen evil. Let your work be manifest to your servants, and your glorious power to their children. Let the favor of the Lord our God be upon us, and prosper us for the work of our hands. O prosper the work of our hands. So this is a different kind of psalm. It's a community psalm. And there is, the psalmist in this case is reflecting on the eternal nature of God and the very transient nature of human beings. And I think I mentioned this in yesterday's devotional, that we are just but a breath, we are a mist, we are a vapor that is there and then vanishes just as quickly as you notice it, in comparison to the eternal nature of God, who has always been and will always be. We are literally just not even a blip on the radar for the span of time. And in comparison to who God is, we are, again, there's no comparison. The reflection in this is about the wrath and the power of God, and that we don't often think about that because we live in a different era and a different day than when the Israelites did. But by comparison, we are but nothing. And so a couple of the verses that really I stood out for me on this one was, teach us to count our days, that we may gain a wise heart. That's something that we should all take to heart, is to count our days, because we're not promised any more than what we have right now. There's no promise for tomorrow. And so to live a life that is lived with the things that we're missing out on, or being angry, or being disappointed, or sad, or grumpy, or whatever it is, and not taking advantage of opportunities that we have in relationships with people, not taking advantage of opportunities we have to actually live life to its fullest, is a mistake that we all make. We take too many things for granted. We take our relationships for granted. We take opportunities we have for granted. We take God's blessings for granted and focus too often on the things that we don't have, or the things that aren't going our way. And that's certainly relevant for what we're going through today. And in verse 16, let your work be manifest to your servants, and your glorious power to their children. And then moving down just to verse 17, let the favor of the Lord of God be upon us, and prosper for us the work of our hands. Oh, prosper the work of our hands. Living life to its fullest can often be, and I think from my personal experience, it is when doing God's work, being obedient to what God would call us to do and how he would call us to live our life, as countercultural as it is for us to live sacrificial lives, live lives for others, love our neighbors and our enemies as much as we love ourselves, is counterintuitive, but it's living that life of humility, living that life of sacrifice, that I think brings the fullness of life for all of us, because of the mark that it makes on other people and on the world, on the legacy that it leaves, that we leave. It's compared to leaving riches or wealth or someone who had a great career but ignored relationships with family or friends or anything else and lived only to work, what is the legacy in that? What does that represent and what does that accomplish? It really doesn't accomplish anything. And so in this psalm, I am encouraged, and I hope you are as well, that to live every life to its fullest, to live every life as if it is a gift, to live every moment as if it is the gift that it is that God has been given us, to count our days that we may gain a wise heart and an understanding, and be those kinds of people that others look at and say, what is it about them that makes them so joyful? And it is in that relationship with God that we have, and in counting our blessings, and in taking every day as if, living every day as if it's going to be our last, and getting as much out of life as we can. That's a choice. We have a choice to make in that, and we don't often choose that way, but I think it's an encouragement today for all of us to live that kind of a life and to live the fullness of life that Christ promised us. That's our devotion for today. Tomorrow we have Psalm 91. Until then, know that you are blessed.